Did you know that belief in Christ is not just based on subjective emotion, imaginations, and your own thinking, but it's actually based on historical truth, historical data, and actual facts rooted in reality? The way that belief in Christ is framed in our Western culture oftentimes is just a nonsensical, imaginary, emotional experience. And unfortunately, mainstream Christendom continues to give headway, continues to give power to that line of thinking. But if you were to look at the way that the gospel writers in Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John present Jesus, present the events of Jesus, they present evidence. They present data for you to draw a conclusion and make a decision. In fact, there's a story in the gospel accounts where John the Baptizer, who was Jesus' cousin, he was locked up in prison for doing the right thing, and he goes and he has some questions about Jesus, and he sends some of his men to go ask Jesus, "Are you the expected one, or should we look for another?" And Jesus points them to evidence. Look at the great deeds that I've done. The blind see, the dead are raised. And he lists all these works. He basically tells them, look at the things that you can see. Look at the things that you have heard. Look at the eyewitness testimony. Look at the things you yourselves have witnessed, and go tell John about that. So Jesus himself appeals to evidence in that instance. And you see this throughout the gospel accounts. You also see this in the book of Acts, which is the fifth book of your New Testament. In the book of Acts, you see God's apostles continually persuading people to become Christians based on the historicity of the resurrection of Jesus Christ. The very first gospel sermon presented in Acts chapter 2 on the day of Pentecost, Peter talks at length about the resurrection of Jesus Christ and the implications and why his resurrection is the basis for your salvation and the basis for your belief in God. And that pattern just continues throughout the book of Acts. You see it in Acts chapter 4. You see it in Acts chapter 3. You see it in Acts chapter 5. Peter and John are locked up and taken into custody for presenting Jesus as the resurrected Christ. And when they had the pressure put on them, they still said, we won't stop teaching and preaching this message because we were there. We saw the resurrected Jesus. And you see this fervor and you see this appeal to evidence throughout the book of Acts, and you see it throughout the entirety of the New Testament. So my friends, when we say that Christianity is just based on subjective emotionalism, we're not even being consistent with the way Jesus and the apostles were. So let us remember, Christianity is based on historical fact. And if you want to learn more things such as extra biblical testimony, extra biblical quotes, and evidence for your faith and your belief in Jesus Christ, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, Real Talk with Jordan. I can't wait to see you guys there. Until next time, peace.